Okay. YouTube's takedown numbers are a mystery, but Content ID is a cash cow. Google transparently reports the billions of copyright takedown requests it receives for its search engine. Shit. Can you imagine trying to deal with that horseshit? Sometimes I wonder. Somebody needs to like create a country, like a microstate or something, someplace which is a copyright haven. It's like, yeah, this is a country we don't allow, we don't recognize any copyright law or whatever, and therefore, if you base your company in our microstate, you won't be subject to being sent all these takedown requests. It's up to you whether you want to host anything, that might be in violation of something, but at least you won't have to deal with a bunch of dickheads constantly pestering you to do something on their behalf. You could make a ton of money that way, make a ton of fucking money with companies that are just like, yeah, that'll save us billions of dollars. Like we're hosting our shit there. Anyway, however, finding out how many videos are flagged and removed on YouTube appears to be quite the challenge. We gave it a go nonetheless, and can also conclude that the Content ID system is a cash cow. Earlier this year, we reported that Google had processed the 5 billionth DMCA takedown request for its search engine, a massive number, no shit. These data are conveniently shared through Google's official transparency report, which is a treasure trove for reporters. For example, it allowed us to monitor the steep increase in notices over the years, as well as the subsequent decline. Oh, there's been a decline? Well, that's good. I'm surprised, but anyway. The data has also helped us spot errors and inaccuracies, and it also provides fuel for academic research as well. It's safe to say that Google's transparency report, and can you guys see that fine? I'm having difficulty trying to read their damn links because of the color against that background. It's just not easy to focus on for some reason. There's a wealth of valuable information. It could make sense to have similar data available for YouTube, but unfortunately that's not the case. No YouTube copyright transparency report. When we look at Google's transparency report, there is no mention of YouTube's copyright complaints. There is plenty of data showing how many videos, channels, and comments are removed for violating the community guidelines. However, copyright requests are not included. And you know what? Just as an internet user, I gotta say, it fucking pisses me off like you would not believe. Every fucking time I mean, you see it everywhere, by the way. You see it on Google. Well, actually, you probably don't see it on Google. You don't notice it, but it happens, obviously. That just talked about that. But you see it on YouTube, and you see it on other, usually video hosting sites, but sometimes it's other sites as well. You're forever if you're like me and you occasionally like bookmark shit to go back and read it later, or watch it later or whatever, or you just keep it in like an open tab or something, but you haven't actually gotten to it yet. You keep on coming across shit that's not there anymore. Like sometimes it got removed. Maybe there was, maybe whoever made the video on YouTube fucked up or something, and they had to remove it because like, oh well, the audio's fucked up on this. I gotta re-record the video. Okay, fair enough. But a lot of times it's not that. A lot of times it's, oh, it was taken down because somebody complained. Somebody flagged it for, it supposedly had copyrighted material in it that, or whatever. Somebody flagged it because it was supposedly offensive or some shit. Somebody got in trouble. Somebody deleted this because of, because they were getting in trouble for it, or too many people were whatever. There's so fucking much of that shit happening nowadays on the internet. It's like you gotta archive every goddamn thing that you ever come across, because otherwise it's gonna be gone. The next time you fucking turn around, it's gonna be fucking gone. And I can't tell you how tired I am of that. You know, it's like, what is, you know, it makes me wish that there was no such thing as copyright, so that nobody could fucking abuse it the way they do. You know, yes, I know, you know, it's really not a good idea to get rid of it entirely, but you know, but some kind of reform needs to be done. But holy shit, this is the constant, you know, removal of every fucking thing. Jeez. Oh, that's interesting. Relying on a torrent site for vaccination advice is a terrible idea. What the fuck is that about? Okay. I'm not. No, I don't care. I'm not gonna. I'm not getting. I'm not getting it. I don't. I don't give a shit. You know, if you want to get it, that's up to you. You know, and if the next bioweapon that gets released by the Chinese happens to target people who have had the vaccine, which is a possibility, by the way, R.I.P. You know, like it'll be a big job for the few of us that didn't get it to rebuild civilization. But I guess we'll be we'll be having to pull, you know, I don't even know, 20x duty. I don't know how many jobs we will have to fill because there won't be anybody left. But don't expect a whole lot of sympathy from me if you got it and then you die because, you know, it's like, and I don't, and hey, if I die because I didn't get it, I don't expect any sympathy from you. You know, it's like, it's fine. I accept that it's a risk. I accept the risk. I'll take the risk, and my goddamn freedom. Thank you very much. You know, freedom is not without risk. That's just how it goes. Anyway, this is odd because, wait a minute. Did I reread that? Can't fucking remember. Anyway, violating community guidelines, however, copyright requests are not included. This is very odd because they mention YouTubers facing issues with DMCA removals or content ID flagging. These reports have increased over the years, but keep track of the volume or scanning publicly for errors is impossible. Okay. We asked Google about this omission this week, but without result. Why am I not surprised? While the company has been quite responsive to other inquiries, it remains silent on the issue. This leaves us with no other option than to scour the web for bits and pieces trying to lift at least part of the veil. After browsing through public reports and testimonies, we found that in 2017, YouTube removed more than 7 million video URLs. And how many of those were legitimate, by the way? I mean, how many, you know, like, some of them, I'm sure, were totally legit takedowns. But how many weren't? That's a very good question. How many fucking weren't? Following DMCA requests, these are requests that are sent by copyright holders outside of the Content ID system. This is actually a vital reference point because YouTube separately reported that 98% of all copyright claims were made through Content ID in the same year. Wow. This indirectly suggests that a total of 350 million copyright claims were made on YouTube that year. 350 million YouTube copyright claims. The 350 million is extrapolated from public information and not confirmed by Google, but it would make sense. And given that the data is from 2017, we expect the number to be significantly higher right now. I will say this. I have occasionally looked for movies on YouTube. I'm not, you know, YouTube movies channel or whatever where they're selling it to you, but just to see if anybody's uploaded movies to YouTube. Because there's quite a number of older movies that are actually, the copyright has expired on them or whatever. It wasn't renewed, so they're public domain now. And plus sometimes, you know, it's just not available. I mean, maybe for that reason or some other reason, but you know, can't fucking find them on DVD anywhere. But I've occasionally looked for shit, and you know, as with searches, sometimes you search for one thing that's, maybe from the 40s or something, and you get shown something from the 80s or the 90s or today, and that has a vaguely similar title or something. And it's actually kind of amazing how many movies. Now, some of them are apparently like completely legit, like the Asylum. They make really shitty Sci-Fi Channel original movies and crap. They make really low budget sci-fi films. And there's some channel I stumbled across that apparently has some kind of deal with them to show their movies. So it's officially licensed. So there's nothing wrong with them being there to watch for free. But presumably some of the other, and there's plenty of channels that do classic movies, but presumably some of the movies that you come across, especially if they disappear later, or if you come across them listed in some playlist, but they're not there anymore, or they're not there the second time you look at the playlist or something, presumably those are ones that they didn't actually have any right to upload that, so eventually got yeeted. So there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit on YouTube. I don't know. I mean, somehow I would think that they would catch that when you upload it, especially when like the video title tells you what it is. It says such and such movie from this year, whatever the year it was, blah blah blah, 1987 or something, and it's like you're not hiding the what the fuck it is, man. You'd think that YouTube would catch that and be like, hey, wait a minute, do you have the rights to upload this movie? I don't know. Anyway, ordinarily only a small fraction of reported videos were removed. That brings up another intriguing Content ID feature that's not often highlighted here, the monetization angle. YouTube frequently mentions that it spent over $100 million on the development of its Content ID system. This is brought up to show how much the company cares about and invests in rights holders, but the anti-piracy system helps to bump its own revenue as well. In a recent hearing before the U.S. Senate, YouTube's Global Director of Business Public Policy, Catherine Oyama, said that the vast majority of all claimed videos are not removed but monetized instead. Rights holders choose to monetize 90% of all Content ID claims, opening up a multitude of new revenue streams for themselves. In the music industry, rights holders choose to monetize over 95% of Content ID claims. This revenue is split between YouTube and copyright holders, and with millions of flagged videos, we're not talking about peanuts here. And by the way, this is something that I'll make a comment about that. I think that that's perfectly fine as long as there's no mistakes. That's the only thing that I would say about that is if somebody actually puts, whatever, a music track or something that they haven't licensed in their video, and they put it on YouTube, and then YouTube IDs it, and then it's like, oh, all of the money that this video makes, we are, we're sharing with the person who owns this, and you don't get shit. Telling that to the YouTube creator that made the video that includes that. It's like, I don't really see a problem with that. It's like if they included that on purpose, then they had to know, and they didn't license music, they had to know that that was a risk. So I don't see any problem with that. And it means the video gets to stay up. So whatever content you actually created is not lost because of you having music on there. It's like, they didn't strike my channel, they just claimed the video. It's like, that's fine. And some people don't like that. Other people, they're fine with it. But I mean, to me personally, it would seem like it's perfectly reasonable to allow that to be the way that it works. The only caveat to that being, unless it's a fucking mistake, unless it's like, oh, my roommate was playing a video and I didn't even fucking notice, and you can kind of hear a little bit of some copyrighted music or something in the background of the video I recorded. And then I'm getting fucked. It's like, that would not be cool. Although presumably, you could just re-record the video with without any thing in the background. But still, it's like, That's the one thing that I would be against, is them deciding to claim a video that they actually have no fucking right to claim. There's, your shit's not in here, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't ever have any music in my video, so if they fucking try to say that, oh, so-and-so has, incorporated, has claimed one of your videos, I'd be like, excuse me? Like, who the fuck did that? I'll delete the fucking video before I mean, not that they're monetized anyway, but if they were, I'd fucking delete the video before I'd let them take any, a single penny. I'd be like, no, fuck you. They don't. There's nothing on here that belongs to them. You're not getting shit from me. Anyway, billions in Content ID monetization revenue. At the Senate hearing last December, Oyama said that YouTube paid more than $5.5 billion in ad revenue to rights holders from content that was claimed and monetized through Content ID. What YouTube didn't highlight is that it made billions in revenue from these same videos as well. Revenue that would have partially been lost if the videos had been taken offline. That's well worth the $100 million investment into the Content ID system. Monetizing infringing videos instead of taking them offline has essentially transformed the anti-piracy tool into a cash cow that generates massive amounts of money for copyright holders and YouTube. And like I said, it's like, if it's legitimately their shit that hasn't been licensed or anything, then I don't see what the problem is. Like, okay, whatever. Almost no losers. It almost appears to be an ideal scenario where there are only winners and no losers. Almost. Okay. That brings us back to the transparency issue. In the past, we've seen rights holders abuse the Content ID system to claim content that's clearly fair use. Yeah, that like I said, that would be, or sometimes simply not something they own. Yeah, and that's a real, like, fucking with fair use is bad enough, but then just outright claiming that, oh, this is ours when it's fucking not. Like, what the hell? These people can then hijack the ad revenue as well, which clearly frustrates the channel owners. No shit. Now, if we could only transparently see what is claimed and by who, should that be by whom? It may actually help to limit these mistakes and hold abusers accountable. Okay, yeah, I can see that. As long as you're not giving up people's personal information there. I mean, I take issue with the idea of anybody trying to divulge, like, people's personal details. Any kind of doxing. I don't, like, unless the individuals themselves are volunteering their personal info to the world, I don't think the world has any fucking right to it. All right, so anyway, there's that. Like I said, I don't really have too much of an issue with it, as long, like I said, as there's not abuse. Sounds, there may be though. So, yeah, that's that'd be good to be if the potential for abuse was addressed. Although at the same time, it doesn't seem very likely now, does it? These things have a tendency to just, just not happen somehow. It's like, oh, well, there's abuse happening. Somebody should look into that. Nobody ever does. Typical. All right. Until the next one.